Okay, so I've got Chipotle and I've got my paint. My period cramps hurt so fucking bad, but I was laying in bed and I was having like a moment of introspection. Because I've had so many like avoidant people in my life, and I've like know the patterns at this point where I'm like, what the fuck? Like I feel like I could do like a whole rundown on like their brain process. And like maybe I don't know. Okay? Maybe I'm wrong. Because you should never like assume you know how people feel. But when you recognize patterns over and 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 over again with different people, it really does make you think like this has got to be the only answer. Because if you're like stuck and you're like, how could this happen? Like there's no like reason other than psychological. Like that has to be the final answer, is that it's a psychological thing going on. So anyways, I was thinking back to like I think it's like 3 years ago at this point, where I mean, I'm gonna call this person an avoidant. Like she kind of did me dirty. It's kind of weird because like I feel like avoidance will fall in love with you from like day one, but they won't want to commit yet. That's too much. But they'll fall in love with you from day one. And you will like not quite be there yet. Like you will really like them, but you're like, oh, I'm dating this person, like people usually do. But then like as you grow to love them, that's like the moment where they start to pull away for whatever reason. It's like, and maybe that's like the psychological reason. Like maybe they'll have legitimate reasons for like making you miserable and like making you question your life. Because like it's never like a normal breakup. It's always like so out of left field. You'll be like, what the fuck happened? Like we were literally just telling each other how much we loved each other, or like you were literally talking about how you wanted like take me on this special like trip, or like I was about to meet your parents. It's always like at a significant moment where they'll like something will switch, and you'll kind of be like, once they break up with you, you will be kind of like confused, because, and also for the first like, you'll like give each other space or whatever for like a week or two, and then when you talk again, they will still act like the way they acted when you two were dating. Like they'll stare at you for long periods of time, or the way they talk to you will be really soft. And then, you guys will like exchange your stuff, whatever. So you'll be confused. You'll be like, okay, clearly like this person is still in love with me. Like, why can't we make this work? And because you'd fallen in love with them, you're gonna try to do whatever you can to like make it work, because it's like, I think for secure or anxiously attached people, like, they understand that like relationships are just like about communication and work. Um, but an avoidant person, like that's really like, that's too much. Um, which by the way, it is not too much. Like you are never too much for wanting like basic needs. And that's another thing. Like, you can say that to an avoidant. You can be like, oh, like, why did you do this thing? Like, I was just expressing like a basic human need. And they'll be like, well, that's why you shouldn't be with me, because I don't understand basic human needs. To like justify their decision in discarding you, because it's not a normal breakup. Or a normal relationship even, because in relationships, like, you have like conversations over time. And when the breakup finally happens, it's usually like understood between the two partners of like why it didn't work, because you guys have tried everything. Because in a relationship is about trying, not about it being perfect. And I think that's something that avoidants don't get, is that like the person that you're in love with is not going to be perfect for you. Because no one ever is. There's no like, obviously some people are more compatible than other people, but I feel like anyone can be compatible with another person. It is just about, it is a choice to love someone every day. Like, that's just it. It's always a choice. It's always going to be, it's always going to be that way. But for an avoidant person, like, that is like really overwhelming to their nervous system. Because usually what it is what I've noticed, is like avoidants will usually date people where, okay, there's like a whole pattern that I've noticed, because this has happened to me several times at this point. And since these people can never give me like, I can never logically figure it out, okay? Like, I will be like trying to figure out the why, the when, what, where, and why over and over and over again. And I will like talk to people about it, and everybody's like, like, I don't know, I don't get it. So you know what? This is like the conclusion I've come to, and even if it's not like 100% accurate, that's how I'm gonna cope with the situations that I've been in. Which I think is fair to me, because if something is like really damaging, and I don't get like the closure that I deserve, because I've been in 2 long-term relationships where they've never made me feel the way like these, I want to say 3 relationships have made me feel. Because there was, well, we talked. We would always talk to each other. And we would always try, because love is a choice. Being in love isn't a choice, but loving is a choice, if that makes sense. You will fall in love with whoever you fall in love with. Like, that's why I think that like there is no perfect compatible person for anyone. There's obviously going to be people that are more compatible than others, but at the end of the day, like, it is still a choice to love the person you're in love with every day. That's just how it is. So usually avoidants have parents that should have been divorced or got divorced when they were younger. And that's like that's a key point. That's like a problem with like how they see commitment, because it's always down to commitment for them. seeming intimidating because of that trauma they have from their parents' divorce or their parents' relationship that is really scary. Which is why, like, I've always found this so interesting with avoidant people is that they will plan like having kids with you or talk about how great of parents you two would be together. But marriage is like out of the question. Like, that's too much. And it's like secure relationship people are like, it's you get married and then you have kids. You can have kids without being married, but like legally it makes sense why you would want to be married and then have kids, because like you want to buy a house with this person. You want to have a joint bank account because you want to raise little humans together. And so if you guys do to have a divorce, like both people need to have like something they can fall back on. Like making sure that each of you has your like mutual funds of like selling the house, for example. So that's always been like bizarre to me. Like I've had an avoidant person I dated a few years ago. She saw me wearing like an oversized denim button up, and she was like, oh, like I can totally see you pregnant and having our child in that outfit. Like and like in their eyes, like I could see that she like loved me, that she was in love with me. And so that made me feel like, okay, we're planning, we're locked in. Like there's nothing to be afraid of at this point. Which is like so fucked up, because like a problem with these people is that they feel unworthy of love, but in their own shame and guilt, they will turn everything against you. So from day one of them falling in love with you, they put you on a pedestal to everyone they know. They'll like tell their mom, they'll tell their dad, they'll tell their best friend. Anyone in the vicinity that's of importance to them, they're gonna tell them like how they met their like match or whatever, somebody who's like so perfect. They will make you feel really perfect, important, and special to them. And it will feel really good, because usually like the people that get attached to these people, that's like something that they are missing, is like feeling valuable to someone, because they have been left feeling unvaluable in certain aspects of their life. So to feel like this care and love is like, it's really intense and it feels really special. So, you know, you're like, fuck yeah, like, so anyways, but once they do the discard, that's when the tables turn, because they don't like themselves, okay? They feel guilty, they feel shameful, they feel unworthy of love. But in that, in their self-hatred, they will project it onto you. And so all of a sudden, like, you were too clingy. Like, you didn't give them enough space. You don't like the restaurant that they like. It'll be like really, like things that could have been communicated and worked out. And usually, like, the secure or anxious person in these avoidant relationships, the reason why they feel uncomfortable with like the wishy-washiness of an avoidant person, like they're super clingy one day and then they need a lot of space the next day, is because they don't want to commit. They don't make you feel secure in the relationship, but they will treat you like you're in a serious relationship. But to them, the label is very intimidating of being in a partnership. Like that is like really scary and intimidating, and so they don't want to put a label on it. But they'll like say other things on the why. They'll like be like, oh, like I just want to make sure we're ready. Whereas if they were just like, oh, I have like trauma related to this. It's like really scary for me, and that's why the label is so hard. They will put it on you, basically. Everything will get put on you at some point in this like dynamic. Because they don't want to face themselves in the mirror. And usually like the reason why you make them feel like nobody ever has made them feel, because they'll say stuff. They'll be like, I write about you in my journal or my book. They'll say like, you know, how they talk to their parents or their family or their best friends. They will have dreams about you. They'll be like, they will tell you about these significant dreams that they have of you. So, you know, the pedestal thing comes back into play. Always does. There's music playing in my headphones and I'm like, I'm jamming out. Where was I going with this? Okay, so they got the trauma from their childhood of their parents like fighting all the time and not getting a divorce, or they do get a divorce. I'm like, you know, this is so weird that like the divorce can cause like two different types of attached people that are very anxious because they just want to feel safe with someone because they didn't feel safe with their caregiver. And then you get the avoidants that also didn't feel safe with their caregiver, but now they see love as like really intimidating because it was so inconsistent in their childhood. Oh, okay, I remember what it was. Okay, you'll make them feel like they have never felt before in their life, or like they'll be like, I've never felt this way in a relationship before. And I think it comes down to like something about you brings their inner child, and this inner child getting like the needs that they needed from their parents or a caregiver when they were younger. And you will like fulfill that need. You'll fulfill that love that they didn't get. And that is why it feels so intense to them, and why then they make it feel intense for you, because they put a lot of pressure on you, honestly, by like hyping you up so much and then taking you right down. It's like crazy, but it's textbook. Like, where was I going with this? You got the family wound, inner child, and so a lot of them would rather date people that don't bring out their inner child, that don't make them feel loved. Like a lot of them will have like a lot of them will have been in a lot of shallow relationships where somebody cheated on another person, or they like will use like sex as a means to love. Like, not to say that like people just can't have sex because they like don't like they want to feel good. Like, But usually there's like something behind that. Like, they usually have like a really high body count. Which is, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, honestly. But they'll always be intimidated by feeling love, like legitimate unconditional love, a love that like a parent gives a child, or that you give like your favorite pet, like that kind of love. That's really scary. But the thing is like, that adds to their list of excuses of why they're like discarding you or why they ghosted you, is because like they're bad. And it's so messed up, because in a way they are right. Like, we all do deserve better, but you're always gonna want their validation, their love, because they basically like get you addicted to them, because they're giving you so much, they're hyping you up so much, they're making you feel so good, so loved, that you get addicted to the relationship, you get addicted to them, and then all of a sudden they take themselves out of the equation. But they'll do it like really abruptly. You won't know it's coming. Or you kind of will know something. You'll know something is up, because they'll like start to like backpedal on plans you guys made together. They'll be like, oh, like, I think that might be too much. Or, yeah, they'll backpedal on plans. They'll backpedal on a lot of stuff. They'll also like, so there's the fear of marriage, and then there's the like, them knowing that you want to get married one day, and then all of a sudden being like, oh, like, I can't, like, I don't want to marry, I don't want to get married, like, but I want to have kids with you. And you're like, but you knew that I wanted to get married. Like, you, they'll like see that you like have like a, I don't know, a wedding board on Pinterest very early in the relationship, and they'll like think that's very sweet and cute of you. And then they'll come out of left field and be like, after you've fallen in love with them, because they'll make you feel like they want to marry you. They'll make you feel like they will one day let you call them their partner. They want to make you feel like that in the beginning. And if you like have like boundaries, it'll like freak them out. Like, they'll almost become an anxious person, especially if they really like you. But I think like what is the hardest part is the demonization they do of you ultimately in the end of the relationship. I think that is hard, because like I said, you got addicted to the way that they were treating you, which was good. It made you feel like you were in an actual relationship with them. And a lot of them like usually have somebody from their past that they're like, that they made you feel like they weren't still hung up on, but they still will be. And they'll usually like go straight back to that person Like, because that person didn't, I don't want to say that like they didn't love that person or that person didn't love them, but there is something different about that relationship that doesn't bring out their inner child like the relationship did with you. Because that bringing out that inner child and that unconditional love is scary and intimidating to them. And so they feel safer in a relationship that doesn't make them feel like what they've never felt before. Okay? It's like so crazy. The switch up is like the craziest part. Because they made you feel so like loved and cared for, and then all of a sudden they like demonize you. And I've had them like complain about their exes and like say some weird shit about them. But that's the person that they're hung up on. And so like they'll come crawling back to that person and you'll be like, didn't you say X, Y, and Z about them? Like that was kind of fucked up. That you like think these thoughts of them behind their back and then go back to them and love bomb them. Like that's kind of fucked up. Because they can't just see people as like imperfect beings. If they feel guilt and shame for themselves, they're going to put it back on you somehow. They're going to say like I said, like, you didn't like the restaurant they liked, or you were too clingy, or you didn't fill up your gas tank all the way, or like you wanted some kind of validation from them. Normal stuff that people have and do. And then when you like confront them with these issues, they're like, well, that's why it's not going to work out between us. Just so crazy. Because again, in a way, they're right. Like, you do deserve better. But because you're so addicted to the way they made you feel, you're like, I will do anything to make this work again. Anything under the sun. Because there's no way that this person who like stared at me and like looked me in my eyes and like that I held while they cried, or you know, somebody who was my best friend, because they will feel like your bestest friend for the duration of you dating them and having a relationship with them. You don't just lose the relationship, you lose somebody who was your best friend. And I think it comes from that like inner child wounds that both of you like come together, and something about like that inner child validation and the love that they needed, or the love that reminds them of a caregiver that did make them feel loved, or something their caregiver that didn't make them feel loved did that made them feel loved. Like taking care of them when they're sick, for example, or like being considerate of them, like picking them up from work, gifting them something special. Like, it's always so similar. It's kind of weird. Don't even get me started. Well, I guess we're already in now. Get me started on the parents aspect. But usually they'll meet your whole family at some point. Somehow they'll like fucking like an insect will get into your personal world, which will then make you feel like things are going well. Better than well. You'll be like, oh my god, this is the one. Um, and then meeting their parents will be a big deal if you get to. And sometimes you don't get to, but sometimes you will. And they'll be like, wow, you really got along with my mom or my dad. Usually it's the mom though, because a lot of these people have major mommy issues. I'm just gonna be real with y'all. Major mommy issues. All of this to say, they really make you question your worth, and just know that it comes from them questioning their own worth. That feeling is so uncomfortable for them that like putting it on another person is easier than looking themselves in the mirror. And for a brief moment, you made them look in the mirror. And that was scary to actually see their reflection. So yeah. And I think there's also like something about how you not only bringing out their inner child, but also reflecting something similar to themselves that they're uncomfortable with. But because they'll usually tell you you're so confident, you're so direct, you are different than other people, like hyping you up basically. Because there's something about you that they wish they could be. A lot of these avoidants, they strive for people that are who they want to be. Cat. Because they're really afraid. They are cowards. It's really sad. Oh my gosh, the cat is eating my phone. Stop. And again, it'll suck because they'll be like, well, that's why we can't be together. It's because I'm a coward. And you deserve better. And it's like, why don't you just be better, fucking dick? Because these people get so heartbroken. They break their own hearts into a million pieces. And you can just see it, like, in broad daylight. Because it's, like, easier to break their own heart because love, feels so uncomfortable to them. That is easier than just, like, communicating what they need. Or, like, not even what they need, because usually this whole, like, divide happens because you will bring up something that you need. And you having needs will make them be like, oh shit, like this person isn't on the pedestal that like I made for them. Like they're not perfect because they have imperfections. They actually need something from me. Like any relationship, even friendship, even acquaintances. We all have needs. We all have to respect each other's needs. Where is I going with this? Oh yeah, so you express a need. That freaks them out. That's usually when they start the discard. It'll usually be after like a big event. Like you met their parents. You helped them move. They moved into a new place. They got a new job. The job will also become a huge factor. They'll all of a sudden like be needing to focus on their job. And like somehow in their mind, they You're the one thing that they can control, and these people need to have control. And with you, they can break up with you. That's a choice they can make. That's something they have control over. They don't really have control over where they live, their job, their family, their friends, like, you know, but they do have control over you. And since you make them feel so intense, and that intensity is so uncomfortable, they break up with you. And then they break your heart, most likely, and they break their own heart. Because they usually do it impulsively. It's not something they like think about. They're just like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I'm gonna break up with you. Can't handle it. And then they will feel relief. And you might even feel relief too, because you've been on this like emotional, confused roller coaster. You'll be like, that was confusing. You guys give each other space. You meet with them again. They still make you feel like there is something there. And then you leave, and then you're like questioning everything, and then you want to win them back. You're like, I gotta win them back. They'll also always want to try to be your friend. They want it because they want you to always be an option in their life. They will always want you to be an option. That's why you'll notice a lot of these people are friends with their exes. However, if they felt too intense about you, they will ghost you. The more they love you, the further they will go away. Which is really sad. Like, you know, I used to feel mad at myself for like getting into these relationships or even friendships. But like at the end of the day, like I feel bad for the person. Like I feel bad that that's how they think the world is and how that will make them feel okay. It's like really depressing because you fall in love with this person. You have so much love in your heart for them. You want the best things in them. And all of a sudden they push you away and life becomes, then they're dealing with life. And you being in their life is too much, even though all you want to do is to be with them through all of those hard moments. But they're afraid of becoming dependent on you. They're afraid of like the dependency that comes in a relationship. They feel like they don't have control. And you know, when their parents were fighting when they were younger or their parents got divorced, they didn't have control over that. It just happened. And so if they can control a relationship, it makes them feel safe. Yeah, it just sucks. And you can be mad at yourself. You'll be mad at them. But because they leave you on a cliffhanger, you will still like love them no matter how much they push you away, because they will push you away. The more the more you try to get close to them, the harder they will push. Especially the more they feel for you, because they just want to get control back in their life and feel like they have control over their emotions, and like you being there feels like the easiest way to solve this feeling, to get rid of this feeling. But that feeling of relief will not last long because it'll creep back up on them slowly. That like you were the person that made them feel a way that they never felt before, and you'll in a way become like a ghost in their life. And it's gonna be, you'll be the person that they will compare other people to. And sometimes they will do this with the ex, like the big ex that they have in their life. It's usually like the longest relationship they've ever been in. They'll compare you to that person. They'll compare you to that person. But then you'll become the new person they compare. It's like you get compared to them, and then once they discard you, then you'll become the new person that they are going to compare other relationships to. Because you like made them feel something they hadn't felt before in that bigger relationship, something that was missing in that relationship. And that's another thing. They are always looking for 100%. So even if they have 80% in you, somebody with 50% is going to feel less overwhelming, or 20%. Because we all want what we can't have, right? So if they like someone and that person is like treating them like garbage, they're going to keep trying to like get that person to like. And that's like usually in the beginning of the relationship where they're like love bombing you because they're trying to keep you hooked, because they don't want you to leave, because these people at the end of the day fear abandonment more than anything. But they will like make it happen. Like they will have people abandon them because of the way that they make people feel. Because they're just gonna constantly test you. They're gonna constantly test how much space you can give them, or how you're gonna take them back or be their friend. They're gonna always test you. Because they want to feel safe. And these people are also really good at lying to their therapists. They're so good at lying to their therapists. Because they're gonna demonize you to their therapist, and their therapist is gonna be like, yeah, you're right. Like, I think you made the right choice. Because they're never gonna be honest about those underlying issues that they have. They probably don't even know that that's where it comes from. All this to say, once you've like figured out the pattern, it's kind of funny. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've been heartbroken so many times by these people. But like, now that it's happened like so many times to me, I'm like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me a second time, shame on you. Fool me a third time, shame on you. Fool me a fourth time, shame on you. And I'll be just left with this feeling of like, God, I'm going through this again? Are you kidding me? I just got over the last person. They made me get over the last person because I was like, oh my gosh, this person is like fulfilling my needs, when they're trying to like get you locked in. But once you're locked in, it's over. It's game over for you. So this is my 2 cents on people with avoidant attachment styles. They turn secure people into anxious people, and eventually those anxious people into avoidant people. Like, hurt people, what can I say? And they are cowards, and it's sad. It's sad that they don't love themselves enough to let themselves be loved. And I think that's like why we push to try to get them to see that and to be like, I'm here for you. I'm not going to abandon you, but I need you. Like, I need you to be here. Because, oops, relationships are a two-way street. You can't just take and take and take, or give and give and give. It has to be like the both of you. I love making these flowers. I started doing this at work and I've just become like entranced by like making these flowers. I started doing it like last year. And then my spirals, of course. I have to have a spiral. I love a good spiral because I'm always spiraling. I like spirals because life is like a spiral. So yeah, that's the story. Read it and weep. That's all she wrote.